Everyone, Coco Nomad here, back with another weekly retrospective where I talk about what I'm working on. So let's go ahead and jump in so we can review this week. This week has actually been a little wonky this past week. I wasn't feeling great and had to take a couple of days off. So I wasn't super productive. So I'm just going to lead with that to kind of let people know and understand that you won't always be at your best and you cannot judge yourself for that. You just kind of have to plan for it. And even sometimes you can't plan for sickness. You can't plan for days like that. But sort of like not planning for my phone to be gone or to die a couple of weeks ago. But the reality is that things are going to happen and you sort of have to roll with the punches. But I want to say the biggest takeaway, if nothing else from this video today, don't judge yourself negatively. There's enough negativity in the world and you can generate enough negative self-talk. You don't need to add to that. If you need a couple of days rest, regardless of how well things are going, if your body's just not responding, if it just shuts down, which is what happened with me, you just really do have to like get some rest, make sure you're eating well, take care of yourself, but don't judge yourself negatively. The last thing you need to pile on top of that is just negativity because you'll just stay in a bad place and that's never good. So let's jump into what went well. First off, I have a lot of friends and family in town, and it's great. It's weird because after 5 years of being on the road and traveling, it's not something that happens so much. I spend a lot of time inviting people to come and visit and trying to meet up with people. And then in like the past week, it's just been crazy how many people have just happened to be in town or coming to town to say hello. So it's been wonderful. But the downside of that, of course, is that was a bit of distraction in the early part of last week and then the last couple of days. But it's been great to see everybody. And I'm really happy for it. Welcome. Hope everybody has a good time. Stay safe. It's wonderful. The next thing that really went well this week is I did stand-up comedy again for the first time in a number of years. I tried it about 6 or 7 years ago in Jacksonville, Florida. I went down there a few times to do some open mics. I really love stand-up comedy. I'm a huge fan of it. I don't have any delusions of being like a professional comic or, making a living doing it, but I do enjoy the process of joke writing. It's just one of those creative outlets that I just find very, very fulfilling. And for me, it's a nice form of sort of just, therapy, if you want to call it that, if you want to call it just a creative outlet. And I like the positive response of people. If you say something and people find it funny, making people laugh, it actually feels good. So I did an open mic. I'm actually doing another one this Tuesday here in Playa del Carmen, Mexico. My last one, of course, before I leave and head out. But it was a lot of fun. And a part of that, in terms of like having community, I started making some friends who are also stand-up comics or trying it for the first time. And I've had them over here, including last night, we did a joke writing session. People share some great resources for writing better jokes. We worked on some material, we share with each other. And that's the other thing that I really like about comedy is that you have this community of comics that support each other, that work together, help each other with material. A lot of times you're doing shows together. And so what we did last week, and we'll do again tomorrow night. And I'm super excited about it. It's so much fun. So those are the biggest highlights of this week. So let's move into what didn't go so well. And that, of course, was, like I said, it's probably the least productive week I've had in quite some time. Really wasn't feeling great on Thursday and Friday, wasn't really productive, didn't get a lot of things done. So I'm playing a bit of catch up the last couple of days and then trying to balance that out with the socializing because, again, that's not something that happens for me a lot. I'm a bit of an introvert. So I don't spend a lot of time going out. For the last few weeks, I've been doing a lot more of that than I had in previous ones. A long time, probably since, honestly, since my remote year time in 2016, where I was constantly going out with my group and doing things. So you have to learn how to balance that. And even after, like I said, 5 years of doing this internationally and 11 years of working remotely, you still have to adjust. Things change. And so there's no perfect. You just kind of learn different ways to manage. And those are the kinds of things I want to continue to share on this channel to help you as you're sort of managing, building new community, being active, balancing work if you want to do work, balancing health, if that's an important thing, should be, but balancing all these different parts of your life so that you're always continually bringing your best self to what you do and resting, because I think that's also important. So that takes me into what I've learned, which is slowing down and stopping are not the same thing. So I felt a little guilty. Like I said, I have to fight the negative thoughts that were just like, well, you've got this newsletter to get out, you've got projects to record, you've got videos to get out, you've got client work to do. And just like, but my body needed to slow down. It's just like I just wasn't physically able to keep up, and I needed a bit of a break. And mentally, like cutting off the inputs, just taking a break and just resting until I felt better. And that's the second part of that, is just recognizing when you're run down, even when your body and mind don't show the immediate signs. Like a lot of times I'll be going. I'm working out and doing everything, and don't realize that I'm really pushing it in the red, it's just like, and just need to like throttle back and slow down. And then sometimes, like for instance, this past week, my body just went, nope, you need to rest. And so I prefer to have actions that I do to sort of keep me from there, keep me from that edge and that space, and having something like that happen, because it doesn't happen often. But it's important to just listen to yourself, listen to your body, and balance things out, even when things are going great. I think personally, it's actually more important when things are going well. It's really easy when you start to get like negative signs, like if, like for instance, I'll get headaches, really bad headaches, and and that's usually like a first sign. And then the sleep might not be that great, or combination of those two things. But then when things are going really well, what do you do? It's so hard to change anything when things are going really well, because you got the momentum, you're getting the positive feedback, and making a change at that point is challenging. So that was the biggest lessons, those two lessons combined, just slowing down. So now it moves me into what still puzzles me. And I think right now, with so many different things that I'm trying to launch, finding the right balance when trying to build something new is the biggest challenge that's still puzzling right now. It's like I want to put a bit of effort and have momentum going, but it just shouldn't be overwhelming. It's like some of these things are long-term things, so they don't need to be huge outpouring of effort for 10, 20, 30 hours, none of that stuff. It's just like, a little consistent effort, 5 hours maybe a week, 2 hours for some of these things a week, and just plant those seeds and sort of like water them so these things can grow over the long term. This YouTube channel being one of those. It's like I just want to continue to make videos, share on topics, and I promise there'll be more than just these weekly retrospectives, but I think there are like nice nuggets of wisdom in here as I'm learning and doing. But I'll break some of these things out and continue to talk specifically about travel, specifically about remote work, specifically about like a healthier lifestyle, things like that. But it's a little bit, and that's the thing, is like finding the right balance of the times when I need to really push something, and then the times where I can just like let it be like a more steady trickle of effort into a particular project. So that leads me to, what will I do differently? And basically, one of the things that I do realize, because I'm having a lot of trouble with it for the last couple of weeks, is I'm going to move the newsletter to bi-weekly. And that's for two reasons. One, again, like I've mentioned, it's like I felt too much pressure to get it out every week. And sometimes I actually struggle with content. Like I really am looking for good, relevant content every week to bring to the newsletter. And I realize that right now I don't have that right formula. And until I do, it's probably better to just give it a little more, less frequently, and have the same value, the same quality of material or content that I want to share. So we're moving the newsletter to bi-weekly, so twice a month. And then we'll see after like maybe a month or so what happens. Maybe I'll find some new sources of information I find are really, really relevant for remote workers and digital nomads and people like that. Or I'll get responses for things that people want to hear or read about, and I'll start to find those things. And I'll be writing more content as well as I get a little bit of momentum and get these practices as I'm transitioning to this new business. And streamlining the format of this, so is also just getting better at streamlining the format of the weekly retrospective. I talk about a lot of things, like here I am bringing you the weekly things in that formula, because I do think the formula is helpful. Formula is helpful for me as much as it is for you watching. So um, going into that, but I want it to be streamlined. I don't want this to be long, drawn out videos. So in that case, just reviewing really quickly, what did I ship? Rest and reset is the biggest thing that I got done. It's like really taking a couple of days to really take a break and rest, and I feel a lot better. And then the stand-up comedy set, which was actually a lot of fun. I will say this, full disclosure, I've had an idea for an application I've wanted to write around stand-up comedy for a long time, and getting back into it has really helped me sort of flesh out what it should be. And then particularly last night's sessions, I want to thank everybody that came over last night for watching. Really appreciate it. It really helped me sort of get an idea for another component in the tool and what it should do to help anyone else who's like working on writing jokes and workshopping and things like that. What will I do this week? This is a big week. I'm leaving Playa del Carmen, Mexico. I am headed to Antigua, Guatemala. I'll be there for a few months, and really excited about it. Still debating whether I'm going to buy some hiking shoes here. So I want to hike those volcanoes. I probably should do that. I worked on a new set last night for stand-up comedy, so that was another thing I'm performing tomorrow night, and that'll be fun. And then I need to get these Swift UI videos recorded. That was really the biggest casualty last week of what didn't go well. Was like those couple of days were days that I set aside to start recording the tutorials videos. So I have to get back on the block with that. And then any potential blockers, I've got to get a COVID test before I leave here. So I have to do the test to have to have a negative test. And hopefully it will be. I've been pretty cautious. I wear my mask when I'm out in public and try to not have gatherings of more than like, a few people. And it's usually the same people, if I'm being honest. I hang around the same people all the time. So we'll see. And hopefully I'll be able to get on the plane and get off on the other side and everything will go great. So here's wishing you an amazing week. I hope that you're very productive and that it's fabulous and things go well. Remember, as I said, you feel a little run down, if you're not mentally all there or physically all there, please, please, please take some rest. If you need to talk about things with someone, then do that as well. But as a general rule, just rest your body, rest your mind, sort of disconnect. And wish you a fabulous week. And I will talk to you next time. Cheers.